gamers to Ultravision's second game review, and today we'll be doing something a little different today. Today we'll be doing a crossover with a good friend of mine, Hologram. Today we'll be looking at a racing game by Titus, simply named Automobili Lamborghini. So, does this racing game deserve more light, or does it stay in the dark as a throwaway title? Let's find out. AL64 plays like any arcade and realistic racing game. You race in a very expensive Lamborghini that you'll probably never get your hands on and dream about every day that you will. There are 3 game modes to play on. The first is the arcade mode, which you have a limited amount of time to race through checkpoints to stay alive. There are 2 difficulty modes, Basic, which is easy, and Pro, which is hard. In Championship mode, just like any other Grand Prix, you race on a set number of courses. The higher you finish, the more points you get. You have the most points by the end and you win the cup. The last game mode is Time Trial, where it's just like any other time trial. You race against the clock for the best time. There are unlockable cars which you can get by winning Arcade and Championship mode on Novice and Expert. These unlockables include a Ferrari or a Porsche. There's also a 4-player mode, which is easily the best part of the game. It has the same game modes, but with some hectic races and AI humans. That makes it easily the best part of the game. Now, what are the problems I would have with this game? Well, first is that the game is called Lamborghini, meaning that there's a limit on the amount of usable cars in the game. Second is the controls and graphics, which I'll explain later. And next is the pit stops. It simply involves some gimmicky movement with the joystick. Anytime when there's an indicator come up, you go into the pit stop and you have to do some weird rocking motion movements that you have no idea what it's about, and it will never explain what to do unless you figure around a bit. By the time you get all that done, you'll probably have lost the lead and have to regain it all over again. These pit stops are very, very unnecessary and just really slow down the gameplay. The only kind of trouble that will occur is looser steering and low on gas. And if this all happens in one time, then you're really up the creek without a paddle. Another big complaint is the absolute unfairness of the arcade mode. Sometimes the checkpoints are too far away and you're trying to keep up with them. It's such a pain. So you better not hit anything or you'll run out of time. Even if you're in first place, you can still run out of time. How does that make a whole bunch of sense? Isn't the first man in place supposed to be ahead, thereby meaning he doesn't have to worry too much about the time? Oh yeah, and if you run out of time, you have to start the arcade all over again. Thanks! Anyway, that's all I have to rant about. What did you have to think about it, Holowar?
I thought the gameplay was pretty straightforward for a racing game, but there were several parts that are unclear. For example, with Championship mode, the menu screen for that mode is super annoying and really difficult to understand. I mean, how do you know what to do? What do these options actually mean? And the fact that the circuits are referred to by numbers and not given names makes life pretty confusing. And the whole pit stop thing is completely unnecessary and really random, considering the only indication that you will run out of fuel or need a tire change is when the stupid voiceover guy gives you a 2-second warning saying so. I mean, couldn't they have programmed a meter or something telling you? I guess not. But I guess once you get used to these things, though, it plays pretty effortlessly.
When Automobili Lamborghini was released, there was a planned expansion for it. It was to be used on the Nintendo 64's expansion, the Nintendo 64 disk drive. However, since the Nintendo 64 DD was not well received by critics and developers, the disk drive was scrapped along with everything else it was planned for.
Now you know!
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
The graphics in Automobili Lamborghini can become cool, and other times it's average. I'm sure for any racing game, graphics are key to success. Most notable is the Gran Turismo series, which sucks. The landscape design is repeated every 3 races or so. They look similar in my eyes. so the creativity is low here. Basically, you're just racing in a forest-like area and a desert and a harbor front. Your cars don't take any damage or lose any parts, which is a bummer. Another gripe is the pop-in environments and the blasted fog. Good gracious, this has to be one of the lamest excuses for bad graphics anywhere. It's only a problem when on the second stage, because you're going way too fast, and with fog in your way, it makes it hard to navigate. Speaking of speed, thankfully the frame rate is consistent, but it feels like the pod racing scene from episode 1.
Looks like a few Tuscan Raiders are camped out on the Canyon Dune turn.
Nothing bad about the graphics, but that fog is killer. What'd you have to say about it, Hollywood?
I felt the graphics may be the sole highlight to the game. I like the detail they put into the design of the car models, and the difference in track sceneries is really nice too. The rest of the graphics are about average for an N64 game.
The controls for Lamborghini 64 is about as generic as a racing game can get. Basically, A accelerates, B brakes, and the control stick steers. Now, problem number one with the controls is that the control for steering is way too sensitive. It will take some time to get used to what you're doing. But there's one major problem that cannot be accepted in this game. There is no reverse. For any car that's built correctly, you can go reverse in it. But in this game, you can't go backwards. If you wipe out and you have to do a U-turn and not just go backwards and, turn yourself forward, why is going backwards so cryptic? The controls are fine, but how do you ignore the reverse? Oliver, what were your thoughts on it?
Don't get me started on the controls. The controls suck. First of all, the turning of the car is way too sensitive. One little tap to the left or the right with the control stick, and your car goes veering into a turn and into a wall. No kidding. And speaking of walls, the collision techniques ruin this game for me. It's like you're in a pinball machine and not on a racetrack. You bounce off walls and nothing happens to your car. And if you pin a computer player into a wall, they don't crash or slow down, but push you back, or they go flying forward and you slow down. Now how is that fair? Although this isn't the first game with weird wall collision techniques, the Cruisin' series does the same thing, and it is my favorite N64 racing series. The controls just stink, and they're just obnoxious.
The music in Lamborghini 64 is okay to bad, to awesome, and sometimes amazing. As well as this track. They're very catchy, and I love it. Sound effects wise, the cars just make the same noise over and over again. Voice clips are incorporated, and they just suck. I mean, listen to this guy say go. What's his problem? Have you ever wondered what he looks like in person? Maybe he looks like this.
Go, racers, go! Ah! Ooh, ah!
Overall, the music is a mixed bag. Sound effects are garbage, and the voice is laughing. What's your opinion, Holvor?
The tracks do feature fun techno music, but they do get a little monotonous after a while. Some of the sound effects are hilarious though, like the guy shouting go at the beginning of each race. He sounds so angry. Or the weird title theme sound effects. And how about the sound your car makes when you hit a wall? Is that realistic? No. So I guess you can make fun of the songs after a while, but that's not the purpose of a soundtrack. Overall, it's pretty average sound for an N64 game.
Overall, Automobili Lamborghini is just okay. This one plays it safe by dumbing it down the experience to its most genericness. That's it. The gameplay is simple, yet the multiplayer is fun, the controls are too tight, the graphics are average, and the music is okay while you're not annoyed with the announcer. People who want to pick up a game cheap and don't expect much time for their money. So give it a go, but don't expect anything to blow your mind. And that does it for me, gamers. Until next time, we'll see you next time, only on Ultra Vision, where the retros get revived.
When Captain America throws his mighty shield, all those who chose to oppose his shield must yield.